This is Matt from Dice Roundtable. Thanks for checking out this video, joining us, and subscribe to the channel if you find it helpful so you're notified of new uploads, as well as like this video if you find it helpful. This is going to be geared towards new people into the hobby. One of the things that I've been encountering with some people that are joining the channel that I've met is they're not really into the tabletop miniatures aspect. Board games they get, they understand. So I'm going to take this opportunity with some Shadows of Brimstone miniatures to show some basic elements of what we do to get them ready. So sit back, enjoy the video. Hopefully it's very helpful. Oh yeah, let's talk about priming. There's a couple different things that can be done. One, there's what we call airbrushing. And airbrushing requires a compressor and an airbrush, the hose and everything. For someone starting the hobby, that's probably not what you're going to do. But priming with an airbrush is a great place to start. The other thing is you can use a brush. So I have these are monumental primers, but there's Vallejo primers, there's primers. Wherever you bought Shadows of Brimstone, they probably have a paint selection and they'll have primers. Vallejo is really popular and common, so is Army Painter. Or you can look up Monumental. These are really nice primers. And what you're going to do is paint the entire model. Okay? Now, your third option is a rattle can. Spray can, rattle can. This you have to be very mindful of. Now, for priming these, I would suggest either a dark gray or black. And you're going to work up from there, because priming them in black or a really dark gray will help cover up any hard to get areas or mistakes that might happen. So that is one of the recommendations of going with black. Now, when you spray this, make sure you spray it ideally outdoors or well ventilated area, because it can smell. And when you do it, you're going to, what I like to do is, having a glove on my hand, I would spray the model upside down. So I would hold it, and if the can was the spray can, I would spray it like this. That way I'm getting the underside parts, and then flipping it over, and then spraying it as I rotate at an angle, and then ideally spraying like this, and then I'll put it off to the side. And then just repeating. Up, rotate it around. Try not to touch the model while you do it. If you have tacky tack and you can put on the bottom of the base and put it on like cardboard, then you can just hold the cardboard. But again, you don't want to have too many so you can get all the areas if you rattle can. The brush priming, you have a little bit more control, but you, depending on what happens, you might see some gloppiness. These without bases become a problem because there's nothing to hold on to. So the spiders, I would kind of have to prime in batches somehow, where I would do half and then come back when it's dry and do the other half. So this gives you an idea of what you're going to do when you're priming them. Again, if you got questions, put it in the comment, I'll reply. And then I'm going to show you, I'll have to have someone else hold the camera while I do it to give you a couple examples. But you can brush them, and if you brush them, again, it might take 1 or 2 coats. I'll show you an example in this video of brushing as well as rattle canning. I won't do airbrushing because, again, the focus of this series is on new hobbyists. I'm not going to assume you have airbrush or airbrush experience or desire it. You just want to have some pretty colorful models that you can play with, not the gray. All right, and the other thing to realize is you want to probably let these sit and dry well. I typically, just as a practice rule of thumb, a day. I will usually let them sit for a day because you want that primer to coat, because it protects this. This is a very smooth surface. When you put the primer on, it makes this a little bit rougher, micro wise, and lets the paint hold on to it better. And by letting the primer sit and coat this model, there might be parts where it could still be wet, especially if you brush prime, Like there could be just little pieces in the crevices. So I just let everything dry really well before I paint them. So with that, we'll get some examples for you up next. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I did the brush priming. Now this is like airbrushing. So I just taken the models and I've actually taken some hot glue onto a popsicle stick. Remember how I said you're gonna wanna turn it around. So this is just a demonstration of what we're talking about. You wanna make sure the wind's as calm as you can. You wanna do short spurts, turning the model around. This is the fastest and probably the most effective way to get models painted and covered. The space between them is about right. That way you can get in there and get underneath the model and they are covered. So hope that gives you an idea to take away some of the mystery of priming the models, getting them ready to paint. So usually I don't spray them more than once. Sometimes on the brushing you'll rebrush them because you might have a couple spots that did not stick. But when you spray prime, as long as you don't have that release agent reacting with the primer, it'll coat just fine. So definitely when you rattle can prime, spray prime, you gotta make sure that you're getting that release agent off the models. So I hope that was helpful. Thanks a lot.